Welcome to the PowerConnect webinar, brought to you by the BA Lab.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Power Connect. Yes, we are back. And today we are celebrating 67 minutes edition of the Power Connect, where we're going to be celebrating this Mandela Month by making an impact together. And to do that, we have two very special guests, a mixture of youth, purpose, and experience. But let me tell you a bit about them before I give you those names. We have a young man here who is a holder of a BCom informatics degree, currently pursuing honors in informatics. His academics foundation bridges business acumen with technology expertise, providing a robust understanding of systems, data, and user centered design. With 5 years of experience as a business analyst, he has developed a strong track record of translating business needs into tech enabled solutions. His experience spans the tech, government, and tech mining industries, where he has honed skills in stakeholder engagement, process optimization, and solution delivery in high complex environments. His core strengths include, but are not limited to, requirements gathering and documentation, agile and waterfall methodologies, cross functional collaboration, data driven decision making, and UX orientated thinking. Beyond the desk, when he's not analyzing systems, he is heading up mountain trail, hitting new personal records in the workplace, or immersing himself in the world of these hobbies keep his mind sharp and problem solving skills in peak form. Please welcome Kamuhelo Mufukeng. Welcome, Kamu.
Thanks, AB. Thanks for the nice um, introduction. You make me sound like a superstar.
Well, you are. You are. That's why we have
Okay.
you here.
I feel like I feel like one right now. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here. It's a
But thanks
pleasure
for having
having you
me.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have another special lady with us, and I want to tell you a bit about her before I also give you her name. She is a visionary senior systems analyst with over 16 years of experience across business analysis, software development, and quality assurance. Her journey is defined by her mastery of bridging complex business needs with impactful technical solutions. Armed with an honors in computer science, an MBA, a CBAP certification, her expertise spans both public and private sectors, including banking, telecoms, and government transformation. Her ability to translate intricate requirements into actionable strategies has made her a trusted advisor and a key player in successful human centered systems implementation. More than her technical brilliance, she brings heart to approaching projects with empathy, clarity, and a deep respect for the people behind the process. Outside of work, she's a dedicated mother, a passionate gardener and cook. I would like to taste that food as well. And a proud blue belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Proof of her discipline and resilience. A true force of innovation, compassion, and leadership. Welcome, everyone, Andrea Naidu.
Thank you so
Welcome,
much,
Andrea.
AB. Thank you so much. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It is truly an honor and privilege to be here. I have never done anything this exciting before. So thank you so much for the honor of being here today. Really looking
Thank you very
forward
much
to
for
it.
being here. Thank, thank you very much for being here. I mean, the both of you hold so much expertise and experience and know-how that it would be a crime not to share it with our audience. I just want to say that you know the BA Lab is all about education, not only education in a book form, but also in a practical form. We're talking about work readiness programs and mentorship programs where you take people through the actual work and how to do things that will teach them how they want to get to where they want to be, right? And we found that with our beliefs as the BA Lab, it intertwined or related to how Mandela viewed education in the world and its relevance to the world. And I would just like to read a few quotes um, that relate to this, just to kickstart us and get us warm. Um, he said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. No country can really develop unless its citizens are educated. It is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of a farm worker can become the president of a great nation. The power of education extends beyond the development of skills we need for economic success. It can contribute to nation building and reconciliation. And the young people must take it upon themselves to ensure that they receive the highest education possible so that they can represent us well in the future as leaders. And to add on to that, I believe that two of the most key elements to have is kindness and humility, which education really teaches us to be a peaceful community, a well working community. And with that said, I just want to ask, I'll start with you, Andrea. What is the most interesting thing that you've ever done with your 67 minutes on Mandela Day? Uh, not necessarily this Mandela Day, but on any Mandela Day as a way to contribute to Mandela's legacy.
Very good question. You know, the 67 minutes is so significant because it's such a short time, but in that short time, we can make such an impact. So usually I join other initiatives that are happening, usually with work, whatever is happening there, or with church. A lot of um, activities at church are very close to my heart, so I would join those. But the most interesting is when I went to this animal shelter. So I'm also a volunteer at a shelter, and we spent some time there. So we did some care packages. So just previous to the day, we got around, got some care packages together, and on the day, just being there with people, like-minded people, passionate about the same thing, sitting there, giving our hearts to these animals who could give us nothing back. And I think, when you spend time giving to someone or something that can give you nothing back in return, that reward is indescribable. And, saying that when we think about how much we can do in that short time, it goes to show that small gestures can leave lasting impact if done, from the heart.
No,
So
definitely.
yeah,
I
my
mean,
yeah.
it it it's amazing how, I mean, they always say that we get our greatest fulfillment as people from serving others. you know and when you do something um as a way of giving back, or contributing without expecting anything back, it does something to your soul. It gives you a certain level of fulfillment that you won't otherwise get from anywhere else. And
It
I don't know if
feeds
that's
your
something.
soul.
Yeah.
Definitely, you feel like you know you've done something to contribute to a higher cause. It's not only about that specific thing. Like, what am I getting out of it? No, it's about how I feel after I do that thing. And that's a feeling that needs no thanks. You just feel good about yourself. So if Andrea, I identify as a dog, does that mean you can take care of me for 67 minutes?
I can try. Tap you
A
on
dog
the
that eats
head,
vegan
tell you what
food.
a good boy you are.
Okay. So I'm gonna scoop over to you, Kamu. I just want to hear what your thoughts are on this. If What is the most interesting that you've done with your 67 minutes as a way to contribute? I know that
I,
you've probably done a few things at work? I
Yeah, I
mean,
actually have. Um,
yeah.
so for someone that does not have children, yet, I like spending time with children. But from like a certain age, like from toddler to like small babies, I can, deal with them without the tantrums. So I would go spend some time at a orphanage. I like spending time there. Not a lot though, but for my 67 minutes, I once did that with a few friends of mine. He ran an initiative back in varsity. It was called Feed a Homeless Homie. So we would take food to the homeless people in Sunnyside. So we would go through our whole res. So we'd go knock on people's doors, ask them to donate their bread to us, and then would on the Friday night would all gather together, make sandwiches from all our own supplies. Like everyone would come with their own groceries and all the bread we collected, make sandwiches. And then we would go with these sandwiches to feed people who are homeless in Sunnyside. So for this 1 year, we did this, but for an orphanage. And then we went to an orphanage in Sunnyside. We got there, we played with the kids, and then one of my friends was a DJ. You know, those in university, you think that's what you want to do in life. And then he played music for the kids. We danced with them. We played soccer with them. Like like I want to echo what you guys said that when you do something expecting nothing in return, you get the biggest reward from it. It's so strange, right? Because you're not
Yes.
expecting anything. But when you do something expecting something, that's when your reward is kind of limited because you were already expecting something. But when you do it without actually expecting anything at all, whatever you feel, it's like next level. You just leave there with a warm heart, and especially when you do it without actually feeling sorry for those people, because if you do it feeling sorry for them, then you kind of like sad through it. But if you're just doing it out of just the care of making their day different, seeing the smiles on the kid's face when we're playing with them, you just become a kid as well. The inner child inside of you comes out. So I really enjoy doing that, and because it's something I like doing in general. I like playing with kids. I like spending time with children. So when I did it for kids that actually needed it. Like they generally just needed someone to come and just make them seen, make them laugh again, make them feel that kind of warmth and love from a stranger. So yeah, that really it changes your life, kind of thing. It changes the way you view life in general. That it's always the smallest things that we take for granted that we overlook them in our own lives. That you have certain things in your life that you think you have to have them, but then when you see and spend time with people that don't have those small things you value, for them it's a whole world that they don't have. So when you spend those 67 minutes with them, it's like okay, we spent the whole day with them in this case, but seeing how much it meant to them and how we undervalue it in some parts of our lives makes you value it more now when you leave that place. You feel like having a parent is amazing, having friends is amazing, having a place to sleep is amazing. But
No,
yeah, that's
definitely,
my view on that.
definitely. I mean, and you are right. Sometimes we are so comfortable with how life has been good to us that we forget that, you know, it's there are people that have less, and less
Yeah.
sometimes isn't so nice. When you go out there and you see, how people need help to get by, you realize how fortunate you are to be in the position that you're in. And it takes that to be able to recognize, how privileged we are. I mean, I remember one time we went to a an old age home, and we just did the chores, like we did the grass was so high.
Yeah.
The place needed some maintaining, some cleaning and stuff, and give them food. Well, they had people who prepared them food, but they usually just um pay somebody to come and cook for them. And on this particular day, because we were there, we could come and
Mm.
help.
You are muted.
But the fulfillment that you get from that
Mm.
is fulfilling, above and beyond work, or getting anything in return. And I get where you're coming from with the kids that you're helping, because a part of you sees yourself in those people. You know,
Mm.
see yourself as that child, and you kind of imagine, if life had been different and you had been unfortunate, you know,
would you be in that position? Would you not want somebody to come and and provide that kind of assistance or help? And
Yeah, definitely.
even with the old people, you see yourself, you kind of see yourself in the future as somebody that might grow old, and
Mm,
you think to yourself, okay, when I grow old, am I the kind of person that's going to be privileged enough to be able to take care of themselves, or am I going to be needing this help as well? And having that kind of um, feeling and interaction with the people that you are helping, it really helps you be more aware of the people around you, the surroundings, and really the kind of difference that you can make if you really just put a little bit of effort. So I think what you said is very, very important.
mhm.
But let me jump onto something a little more serious. Um, you know, Nelson Mandela believed a lot in equality, but equity rather. And I was reading the other day um, about the difference between equality and equity, and there was this illustration, right? And the illustration was a picture of these three people from behind. So there was one tall guy and one short guy, and then another guy on a wheelchair. And all three of them are trying to look over the fence.
Mhm.
But the tall guy was the only person who could see over the fence. The short guy couldn't see over the fence, could slightly see, but there wasn't much there. And the guy on the wheelchair couldn't see anything at all. And on equality, they showed a block that they could stand on, a block of equal size. And these three blocks were distributed between these three people. So when they gave these three people these three blocks, the one that is taller now could see over the fence even more, but already he could see over the fence, right?
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
one who's short now got to slightly see above the fence, but not enough. So he still couldn't have vision of what's over the fence. And the guy on the wheelchair couldn't see anything completely, even though he's on the block, because that block isn't enough to propel him to see beyond the fence, right?
Yeah.
And that was described as equality because they're given the same block to stand on, then it's
Equal.
equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then there's another image of the same three guys. Now, the tall guy isn't given a block because he can already see over the fence. The guy who is short is given two blocks so he can see over the fence. And the guy on the wheelchair now was given three blocks, which propelled him to be able to see above the fence. And when you look at it, you know, equality is about putting people at the same place, uh, depending on the kind of needs that they require. And with Nelson Mandela, we know that he was driven because of the people that were previously disadvantaged, that were oppressed by apartheid, or people that were women that were previously oppressed by men in the industries, you know. And these um, inequalities he wanted to root out so that everybody can be at the same level. So I also read up on what equity means, and I found out that it refers to a fairness or justice in the way people are treated, particularly in relation to disparities among different races and genders. So, what I would like to ask you, let's start with you, Kamu. How have you ever experienced uh, inequality in the workplace or inequity in the workplace before, and how do you deal with that scenario or that situation?
Um. I think the inequality that I would say I experienced is a very rare one. Okay, maybe not a very rare one, right? I think it's something that might have happened to like most of us or certain type of people, but they weren't aware that it was inequality. They just brushed it off. I think in general people are different, right? Like we all have different personalities. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. There's people who are bold. There's people who are extroverts. There's introverts. There's omniverts. I'm an introvert, like truly to the core, except when I'm with you because we talk a lot. But so in the workplace, the inequality that I faced was that because of my, I wouldn't say timid, but very soft, calm personality. When let's like as a BA, you have to do a lot of talking, right? With different stakeholders, team members. Um, so within the actual team, I wouldn't say spoken over, but it would be hard for me to get a point across, or it'd be hard for me to get a view across because of my kind of personality. Because I'm not out there, I'm not always in people's faces, so people kind of like forget that I exist. What I would think. Um, so the inequality I would say is that people would overlook you just because of your personality. They wouldn't value you because of who you are in the team. I was that's the kind of inequality that I dealt with in the sense that I found myself feeling inadequate because I was like, do I belong here? Why am I not being included in certain things? Because you assume that because you're part of the team, people will just drag you through, right? Because you're part of the team. And how I dealt with it was that I spoke to my manager, asked him if there's something wrong that I'm doing, like because I didn't take it as inequality at that time. I just thought maybe there's something wrong that I'm doing, something I don't know how to do, because I started feeling inadequate in my own role at this position. And then after speaking to my manager, removing emotions from it, removing race from it, removing any kind of other inequalities that I could have assumed there were, it boiled down to my own personality that the people around me were more bolder, the people around me were more out there, people around me were go-getters, or how can I put it, just out there. The personality is bold. They always talk. They're always looking for things to do, right? And then how I dealt with it internally is that I told myself that um, at certain points you need to break out of your shell, not be someone who you're not, but kind of like push yourself to become better in certain instances, right? So I didn't just swallow in my own inadequacy and say no, this is unequal. How hate, like, feeling sorry for myself. But also it had to be addressed with the team as well, where it's like this person exists in the team as well. That's where the two blocks come in. That here's a block, step on the block, Kamo. This guy's in the team. We're putting him on this block to be equal with the person that's bold, right? This guy's in the team. That's why he belongs here. That's why you guys hired him. Um, this is who he is. If he's calm, if he doesn't react much, because how do you react to anything that happens? Like the house could be burning down, not literally, but I'm saying like project-wise. But I would not be panicking. I would not be screaming for help. I would not be shaking, saying, "Guys, what the hell's going on?" I'd always be calm, and people would find it very strange. That why are you so calm? Do you even bother? Do you even care about the work?
You're a
and, I,
BA up
and,
top.
and I,
Just have to come up with
yeah,
solutions.
yeah, and I'm just like, I can see that the house is burning down, but what will help with me running around with you guys being crazy? Let's find the solution, right? So I think the inequality for me was the type of person that I am and how people perceived who I am based on the team. They perceived me as someone that didn't care about the work. They perceived me as someone that's not interested in the work. So they just excluded me from most things because they're like, I guess he doesn't want to be here because he's not actively talking all the time. So yeah, I hope I answered your question and I hope I made sense
Yeah,
because in my head
I
it
mean,
made sense.
to be honest, I mean, it's something that a lot of people go through, especially because it's not easy. That people don't make an effort to understand personalities. So you get
Yeah.
to a workplace or an organization, and people want you to be engaging and out there and outspoken, but sometimes that's not your personality.
Mm.
Sometimes you engage when it's necessary, or when you're with a certain crowd that pushes you to engage. And
Mm.
you get sidelined because they're not used to that kind of personality. And
Mm.
it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to read the room enough to know
Mm.
who is engaging and who is not, and why they're
Yeah.
not engaging. Because sometimes there are people who don't engage because they are going through something, but you can tell because this person is not normally like this. But
Yeah.
when somebody is has uh, you know a consistent line of behavior, you can tell that what maybe it's not an issue that this person is like this. Maybe they are just like this,
Yeah.
and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being the way you are. Just as much as somebody who talks a lot and is very outspoken, there is nothing wrong with how they are, because it takes a lot for somebody who doesn't want a lot of an environment that doesn't want so much engaging to be able to understand that this guy's personality is the kind of person who needs to ask and needs to know and
Yeah.
needs to be talking all the time about this to get it. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot. And it sometimes comes to the organizations that we have. The fact that you need training to manage people, because that tells you a lot about the different personalities and how to handle them. And
Yeah.
you'd be surprised to see how many organizations now don't have that you know training to be able to train your managers and your supervisors to be able to handle people in their own
Yeah.
specific way, in their own characters and personalities. Because you can't have a generic management
Yeah.
style
Blanket approach.
for everyone.
Yeah. It won't work with everyone. Yeah, it won't.
It won't work because you need you,
Mm.
you need to know, okay, what makes this person tick, how does this person behave, how do I talk to this person, um,
Mm.
you know in relation to in comparison
The
to
other
another
one.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't talk to me the same way you talk to you. you know
Yes,
Yeah,
it's,
it
it's
won't work.
it won't work because we're very
100%.
different personalities, and would probably react to the way you
Differently.
talk very, very differently. Somebody might find it
Mm.
offensive, somebody might find it normal. Um, you know. So I think what you're saying, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and I think we get it a lot in the workplace. In school, it's kind of understandable because you have like 70 kids in the class, and and you can't manage all those personalities. But when you get to the workplace and you're managing resources and human resources, you need to understand that skill of how to practice this as a way to be fair. Because the moment you ignore that capability that you must have, it starts becoming, you start creating an environment of unfairness. you know but
Yeah.
Andrea, I want to know from you, have you experienced anything in the workplace before,
Such a,
and how did you?
yeah, it's such a touchy topic because I think inequality exists everywhere. And I think everyone feels it at some point or the other, irrespective of who you are, male or female, whatever race you are. I think everyone experiences it merely because of the personality conflict, different personalities clashing in the workplace. Um, and being a female and being an Indian female, I think inequality is not a foreign subject to me. What I found over the years, and this only comes with experience, is that over the years, you sort of see it very blatantly, but you don't know how to deal with it. And, in my earlier years, when early 20s, I worked in this one industry, and I was the only female there, and there were a lot of older gentlemen, and so being female and working with older gentlemen, you kind of like automatically feel like you need to respect everything that happens, right? So the culture of the place was a lot of the times a different language was spoken to English, and I'm very used to English. So I would sit in these meetings and it would be a different language. And I wouldn't understand a single problem that was discussed, a single decision that was made. And I'd sit there nodding my head as if I understood. And I tell you, I try to respect the workplace, but in retrospect, I was doing a huge disadvantage to myself because I did not grow as a BA, as a person. I was not growing in my career. I would go every day. It was very comfortable. It was a very comfortable environment, but career-wise, I wasn't growing. And eventually it came to a point where I raised the issue that I have no idea what you people are talking about, merely because I don't understand the language. My language is English. And I think it was like a few meetings where English was spoken and then very quickly changed back to another language. It was difficult. And I realized that that is the culture. And I had to remove myself. So, it was a decision that I made, removed myself from that industry, and then in the next job, I started to flourish and I was doing really well. I was growing as a BA, I was growing my career. So I learned that sometimes you are in a situation and you cannot change the environment around you. You cannot change the culture of a place. And if you are in an environment where you feel you are not growing, you are experiencing inequality, you are experiencing deviations to your growth, you need to make that decision to step away. Having said that, it's exactly what Kamo spoke about as well. You get into different industries, different environments, different personalities, and inequality is not loud and it's not there where you see it. Sometimes it can be really subtle. It can be people overlooking you. It can be people underestimating your worth, and you've got to be able to see it. You've got to know your worth. And the one thing that I've learned over the years, and it's something I had to learn, is that you never take anything personally. So, initial years, early 20s, everything was like, I'm not good enough. I didn't do this right. I should speak louder. I should be better. That kind of thing. I. But then you realize you don't take anything personally, and you learn over time that yes, you grow, but you come across different personalities and you learn to deal with the different personalities. I love how Kamo says, he's very calm, and I know he's very calm. Like, I love that about him. And that is something that I found with him. And I don't know if you know this, Kamo, but through your calmness, all the other personalities come out. Like, people are not afraid to be themselves around you because you are the calm one. So you get to see people, when they loud, when they aggressive, you see it all. But you manage it so well because you're so calm. And I think that's important that, through
Yeah.
all of it, we will experience inequality. It is natural because of our different cultures, our different personalities. It's important as a BA to always remain calm, always remain clear minded, always remove yourself if you start to get emotional. You need to put on this, don't take it personally, it's not me, this is work, how do we deal with it? And so I learned that over the years. How you approach the situation is key. Absolutely important to think about, how am I approaching it? Something that Bianca told me very long ago, and I say it all the time. And it's that you teach people how to treat you. And when she said that, I
Mm-hmm.
started applying it to my personal life as well. And it made such a difference. The amount of respect that I started getting from teaching people, from drawing boundaries. If the situation gets too much, you calmly say, we'll pick it up when everyone's calm. And you do just that. You pick it up when everyone's calm. Don't go in there emotional. You continue from where you left off. So, as we said, the problem was, how do we resolve it? So, very important how we approach it and not to ever take it personally.
No, definitely. I see there's a comment there from Lebogang Lisunyani. And she's saying hi, colleagues. I'm guessing she's feeding off your
Hey.
calmness as well. So I'm going to break for a little bit because Z has a special announcement for us. So we're going to scoop over to Z and then see what she has to share with us and our audience. Z, you can take it away.
This is Quantum Leap, the mentorship journey that's shaping the future of business analysis. A bold step into growth, connection, and transformation. 12 sessions dusted, and what an incredible journey it's been. From mindset shifts to mastering the craft, our mentees have leaped into action, driven by passion and purpose. We've explored personal branding, career growth, business analysis essentials, and most importantly, we've built a community grounded in support and accountability. The energy, the growth, the wins, they speak for themselves, and we're just getting started. We're not done yet. A new cohort and the biggest leap is still to come. Cohort 2 is officially open for applications. If you've missed the first wave, this is your moment to leap. Apply now for a sponsored seat and be part of this high-impact mentorship program. Sessions happen twice a week on weekday evenings from 9th September at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., designed to fit into your busy life. Visit www.theBALab.com and secure your spot in Cohort 2 today. Let's grow, let's glow, let's go with the BA Lab.
Amazing stuff. And we also have a giveaway for you guys who are listening. There's a seat giveaway. We have a question for you. We'll give you a question in a bit so you can marinate in it. And if you get that question right, you will have a seat in cohort 2. Right. Okay. Now, I'll give you a question in just 5 minutes. But now, I just want to hear from Andrea. You talked about the inequalities that were happening in terms of language, and I it's something that I think some of us have experienced. And if I'm to talk about that, I mean, it's just an inability to accommodate the new family that is the new structure of your team, right? And when you have a new structure like that, you must accommodate the last born, the middle born, the middle child, and the firstborn. They must all understand what you're saying. And you get this in teams where you get there, and during sessions, in between the session, people are speaking a different language. And you're like, wait, although this is like a private conversation, it has to do with the work. And I want to know what you're talking about. If it's something that affects this, I want to understand how it interacts with what I'm doing. And that's very important. And people don't get that, in the workplace, that it's important to have a dialogue in one language so that we can all understand and be on the same, wavelength. Because even that private conversation that side conversation that you're having with a colleague during a break in a meeting, somebody might have an idea that might help or shed some light on the issue or give clarity, or somebody might have had the same question, and you find that actually there's a whole lot of you who have the same question that isn't being asked, and people miss that. They miss that a lot, and it makes a huge difference. But before we get sidetracked, I want to ask a question, right? We have a Nelson Mandela that spent 27 years in prison. I want to know from our audience, when was Nelson Mandela released? What year was he released from prison? If you can give me that, that's your seat in cohort 2. Okay. Now, Kamohelo, have you experienced this kind of segregation. I know you've been in situations where your personality was sidelined. But has language ever been a barrier for you as well, where you've been in places where you need to hear something or you need to talk about something, but there are side discussions that are being had, or just the language around what is being discussed is not the same as what you understand.
Actually, when you said it now, I was just like, yes, 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 yes. I don't know why I forgot about that one. I didn't mention it first because it happens actually almost every day. Where and it's not even about not knowing the language, or it's just about we have to use one uniform language. Like there's one language of communication in the country, right? And we assume that all of us need to hear. And and like you said, if people are just outside having a smoke or whatever and they're talking with each other, then that's fine, right? Because I'm not part of the conversation. But if now we are in the office, we are literally talking about work, and then from the normal dialect, someone switches their language to a different whole language, and you are standing there having this conversation with them, and then you just stand there and be like, okay, actually, my manager once asked me if I understand the language, and I'm like, 'cause it happened with my manager there, and she's like, do you understand the language? I'm like, I only understand it when I think of it. I think well, in my head, I think I said I only understand it in my head
Basic,
because
like you can
yeah,
do the
when I
dog
speak
is
when I
barking, like
when I'm like, oh yes, that's the word, but I wouldn't be able to converse with it, right? So I was like, but then I don't know why, but like Andrea said, you have to remove the emotions from it, right? But then I think I struggled to do what Andrea said and stand up and say, guys, can we not do this ever again? You know,
yeah, you're
because
not comfortable with this that is happening right
yeah, right. So I think me being me, the calm me, where I just disappear into the shadows, I disappear again. I just be like, okay, I'll just grab some, the buzzwords that I hear. Oh, this word, this word, this word they probably mean, instead of
now.
actually approaching it and standing up and saying, I don't think this is right. I don't appreciate it. And for as long as I'm in the conversation, I would like this to not ever happen again. I think that's where Andrea's point comes in. I think I would actually use that as a learning curve for myself as well to stand up for myself. Because it happens
Yeah,
quite often. It happens more often than it should, actually.
mhm.
So yeah, thank you for that, Andrea. I think that point actually kind of helped me. I should
And
stop
it
being
it,
calm
it, it,
sometimes.
it, it causes conflict a lot. Hey,
Yes, but
even
internally, like I think for me, it causes internal conflict with my own self because I'm like, I should be standing up and saying this, right? But then I'm not doing it. But then I'm like, why am I not doing it? And I end up not. I end up with this conflict in my head. I'm like tweaking in my head. I'm like a switch that's trying to go on and off. But then the conflict that happens outside is now towards those people because you didn't say anything. You kind of like have this demeanor towards them that you guys don't care about me being here to a
They're
point where you should care.
disrespecting you.
Yes,
exactly,
Feel
disrespecting. Yes,
disrespected.
it's literally that. Yes.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
and from this disrespect, what brews from there?
no, definitely,
Like
it
carry on.
causes that kind of conflict, and the thing is, it takes time for that conflict to be managed. And which brings me to my next question now, which is about conflict management. Now, like
Mm.
with that experience that you've had, what would you say is a healthy way or an effective way to deal with inequality or unfairness in the workplace?
I think you mentioned one word when you were talking. You said emotional intelligence. I think one to acknowledge the inequality against themselves needs emotional intelligence, but then emotional intelligence is also required from the leaders, right, in our structures, because that's where it starts. Because if your leader is the one that's actually, I wouldn't say oppressing you, but disrespecting you, if from the top down it's happen, if it happens from the top down, I can't speak to my line colleague or my equal about it because if I tell him to stop doing it, if the manager is the one also doing it and perpetuating it, how will it ever stop? So I think addressing it without emotions, without any violence, or in calmness, like Andrea said, step away a bit and come back and say, can we have a conversation about this? I have certain problems with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you can also admit that you do it too, because I have receipts. I
Yeah,
keep
and
receipts for everything.
it must start from there because we get the tone of what how we're supposed to behave and what we're supposed to do from there, and the moment that gets
Yeah,
distorted, then everything else becomes dysfunctional, and
yeah,
but it's because the root cause is the leadership. The leadership
yeah.
should lead you into a certain way of doing things,
Wait,
and when they're doing
yeah,
that, a lot changes. And
yeah,
everybody can feel the vibe. Everybody can
yeah. You
feel
can feel it.
when you're being
Yes,
disrespected.
yes.
You don't have to be told. you
Yeah,
know
you can tell
it,
something's off here.
definitely, and it gets to that point. you know um so and I want to talk about this with you, Andrea, as well, that um I mean, conflict management is a sensitive issue because it it requires you to be bold, and that's not an easy thing to do, especially with your manager, or somebody above you, even with your colleagues
Mm.
that you fear that it might affect your relationship.
Mm.
But how do you manage that with the experiences that you've had? How do you say? What would you say is a healthy way for you to deal with that unfairness and inequality in the workplace?
And I'm only answering this because I've had experience now, but 100% it needs to be handled in a very calm and clear way. So
The couple.
inequality, as I said, in a calm way. So, so the thing, so the thing is, as I said, it's it's inevitable. You're gonna have conflict. It's personality clashes, inequality, all of those issues will crop up, especially within teams and working with different kinds of people. So it's important to deal with it very calmly. Again, you know, you cannot allow emotions to take over. Um, Especially being a BA, you learn through all the different certifications and things like that. It talks about conflict management. So as a BA, we are the voice between everything. In that chaos, we are the voice. As you have to always remember that your voice has to be the loudest. And when I say the loudest, I mean it must be heard. So not necessarily the tone of your voice, but the way you speak and the words you speak. So when there's conflict, I believe that conflict management does not have to be confrontational. If you come calm and confident, and I've seen this in many meetings, confidence and calmness, that combination, people stop to listen. If you've got a ranting, raving lunatic and you've got someone sitting there, calm, direct, it's very important to be direct. But it's also important how you use your tone. So I think, when it comes to conflict management, as BAs, we are that bridge and we have to manage it. Um, and especially come when it comes to higher management, it's not always easy to go to higher management and directly confront them about their shortcomings because automatically you're going to feel victimized,
Yeah,
and you will never know if they
victimized.
hold
Yeah,
a grudge against what you said. But if, along the lines, if something is said, you'd always wonder, are you saying that because I said that? You know, but always remember, never take it personally. And whenever it comes to speaking your truth, always come with facts. There's no way anyone can deny facts. So whenever you come to conflict management, come clear, come calm, come confident, and come with the facts. No one can, question you or judge you or look down upon you because you are speaking truth. And I think that's important. Remove the emotion whenever you have to speak.
No, definitely. I see we have a comment here from Rieta, and she says, These types of conversations are so important. It makes one think about your own behavior that you might not even think is affecting others. Eye opening. And I think that is very true. Which boils down to what you're saying, that you need to speak up about this, because sometimes people are not aware that they're displaying certain behaviors, and they only realize it the moment you tell them. You know, some people obviously do know, but some might be
Mm.
displaying behavior that is not intended to hurt, or to put anybody in a bad place. And it's important to
Yeah, it's like
to be
a cute.
definitely to inform them that, hey, look, what this kind of behavior is making me feel this way, so that there's a chance for improvement or change. And I think that is
Mm.
very, very important, right? Now, I just want to talk about something that Nelson Mandela said. And this comes from the second volume of that book, The Long Walk to Freedom. And the second volume is a book called Dare Not Linger. And he said, there's a quote in the book where he says, I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can rest only for a moment, for the freedom comes with responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended. And this for me indicates that we need some kind of resilience and hard stuff to be able to get to the promised land. What I want
Mm.
to know, what I would like to find out from you, Gami, is what are some of the challenges, some of the hills that you have climbed in your journey to becoming a BA?
Ah, I think I'll make it I'll make an analogy about mountain biking, right? So when you go downhill on a mountain bike, you are so happy being hit by the wind, but then you remember what's waiting for you at the bottom. It's a climb, right? So that's being a BA. There's always a climb. So there's a lot of hills that you have to go through with being a BA. So I'll only like probably name only two, so I don't take away from Andrea because she probably has the same ones. Um, I think for me it's dealing with vague requirements from stakeholders. I think when you don't know when they don't know exactly what they want, um, dealing with people that don't know what they want, and then also very not nice to deal with as well. Um, Trying to suss out requirements from those kind of clients and helping them helping them know what they want, and then helping them tell you what they want without actually being overly controlling over them as well. Another problem that I would say I would face with my journey with being a BA is being thrown in the ocean in the sense that you join a team and then everyone resigns. That happened to me once. In a different company. I get there and everyone resigned. Like the whole BA team disappeared, and there was supposed to be three PAs when I got there. When I get there, there was only one left, and she was like, "I'm on my way at the end of the month," and I started mid-month. And I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" And she's like,
There's no
"Okay,
one to
I'm
learn
handing over
from,
to you."
no one to
Exactly.
help.
Missed the memo.
uh, yeah, clearly missed the train.
Let me change this part of the journey for you. For you.
And then then manager was like, "Okay, you have to swim. Here's the system. Learn it." And learning the system as they're making changes to it, and everything else coming to you at once, handling the whole team of like 10 developers, all doing their own work, handling all of that as a BA, making changes, meeting with clients. I think that built a lot of resilience out of me because I never thought I'd be able to get through it. I think that first month, I thought I'd probably pass out from exhaustion and fatigue, but I didn't. Being calm helped through the fire. But yeah, I think it built a lot of resilience in me in that whatever challenges come towards you, you can't say no to them. As a BA, you can't say no. You shouldn't give me this challenge. That's what you're here for. You're here for someone to give you their worst of their worst challenges that they want you to solve, and you have to solve them. And yeah, so I think that was the mountain that I climbed after the downhill.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I just want to make a little announcement just before Andrea the same question, right? I, I want to talk about spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, guys. Spreadsheets don't have to be boring. Join our data storytelling in Excel weekly online course starting on the 13th August 2025. You can go to www.thebalab.com to register. Don't miss that. And there's one now with a seat now already with that question. So keep giving those answers. Keep giving those answers, and then we'll see if you get that seat. But that data course is go register on the BA Lab. There are also a range of other courses that you can find there. So it's not limited to that course, but that course particularly is available. So go check that out. Yes. Andrea, that long walk, that long walk that Mandela did, what are those hills for you? What are some of those challenges that you've had to climb to get to where you are in your BA journey?
Yeah, I think, there's so many hills. There's so many. And I think the higher you go, the more hills you have to climb to get there. And as Nelson Mandela said, the journey doesn't stop. Um, so, just looking back on my career path, it has not been an easy one. But there's something that my husband always says: you've got to want it. And if you want it, no matter what the hill is, you'll get to the top. And I think that's what I've always, kept at the back of my mind. Just in retrospect, with the career that I've had. So I initially started off as a developer, and then I moved into testing, and then I moved into a BA role. And through that whole journey, when I think about it, a lot of it gives me a little bit of anxiety because I never had the mentorship that I needed to make critical career decisions. And, had I had that mentorship, I think it would have helped me already know where I wanted to be. Because your career becomes who you are, right? You have to do what you love to enjoy what you do, right? And to give the best of yourself to your job. You can't be in a job that you're miserable at because you will never give 100%. And it took me getting to this point to say I actually enjoy what I do. But there was a point where I didn't enjoy what I did. And getting up in the morning and going to work because I wanted that paycheck, not because I wanted to be there, was a horrible situation to be in. You think about your mental state of mind. You think about the dependence that you have, being a mother, being a wife, having kids, you know that you have to do this. And you've got to make hard decisions sometimes. You've got to move out of your comfort zone. Um, so I think there's a lot of hills that we have to climb to get to the top. Um, you know, there were studies. I had to, it's not easy to say you want to study, especially when you've done a long day of work and then you've got to sit in the evening and you've got to study.
Do
And I
more.
was just telling my husband the other day about how I'm thinking of, and he was like, no, no, don't say it. But when I was doing my MBA, it was the kids were quite little because they were still like toddlers. And it was a full day of work, getting home, sorting out the kids, getting them to bed, and sitting and studying. And there were days where I would fall asleep on the table, wake up, continue learning, fall asleep again for like 2 hours, get up and go to work the next day. It was tough. But those hills that we climb, um, in our careers, as much as we go to work, we've still got homes and we still have personal lives that we deal with. There's death in the family that you have to deal with, but you still have to show up. And that's something that, you learn over the years. Something again that Bianca had taught me, because I remember I asked her the one time, how do you separate your personal life from work? Sometimes you'll be going through the most at home, and you still got to come to work the next day, and you still got to give the best of yourself at work. And she told me something about you put them into little boxes. And I was like, what is she talking about? And I started doing that. And I promise you, it has made such a difference. So when I'm studying and there's something I know I need to do at home, that goes into the home box, and I'll focus on, I need to get this done. I've only got a month left, focus on this. Or I'm at work and there's a problem at home, put that in the home box, focus on work. Then you get home and you need to focus on the kids. So the work box, all of that goes in there. And that has made such a difference. And I think the whole thing about having all these hills to climb is that they are necessary for your growth. It is so important to have hardship to be able to grow, to be the person you need to be for yourself and for everyone around you. And in all of that, you've got to be able to balance it, because if you don't balance it, you'll crash. So
Definitely.
balance is so, so important. And when you look at when you're at the top, don't stop. That must be your point. Yes, I'm there. What's next? And I think that's important. That whenever you attain whatever you need to attain, you always think of what's next.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I just want to remind our listeners that applications for cohort 2 of the BA Lab Quantum Leap are now open. So go to www.thebalab.com and visit that site to be able to access cohort 2. Now we have a winner. We have a winner for our seed giveaway, and he answered it in such preciseness. He gave us a date, a month, and a year, 11th February 1990. And our winner is Deva. Okay, we'll get your details and we'll come back to you with your seat. So hold there for us. We'll be right back with you. And just another reminder that spreadsheets don't have to be boring. Don't have to be boring at all. So join our data storytelling in Excel weekly online course starting on the 13th August 2025. Okay, so we have a question from the audience, and it's Relebohile Ramuche, and she is saying, how do we separate work life from home life when we mostly work from tough one home? And
Can I jump in there quickly?
yeah, it's that's a bit of a tough one.
It is a tough one. Balancing work and home life is so critical to our mental well-being. If you want to enjoy work, you've got to make sure you have that balance. And that comes from having boundaries. You've got to be able to set your boundaries. And it comes back to knowing your worth and what you bring to the table. When you're at work, you've got to give your all. You've got to give your 8 hours. You've got to give your best 8 hours. But when you're at home, you've got to remember that that also requires your time, your kids, your family, your health. Your health is also part of the work life balance. So you've got to, as an individual, you've got to sit down and say, how do I balance work? How do I balance home? How do I balance health? Because each one is important for the other. Without work, you won't have that income to take care of the family. Without your health, you won't have what you need to do work and take care of the family. So that balance of having that is absolutely vital.
No, definitely. Definitely. And it becomes difficult because when you're at home, you sometimes have sick kids or something is going on, and you have to really balance what is happening with your actual work, your deadlines, and everything that happens. But moreover, the time that you spend at work, because it can really spill over into your personal life, and then you don't have a personal life anymore, right? Gamu, I'm sure you've experienced this. I mean, some projects require you to need to dig in, but sometimes you lose yourself and you forget that actually,
Yeah.
I'm still at work. I'm not home. As much as I'm working from home,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm at work.
I'm not
And
home. Yeah. Yeah.
it can be a bit of a challenging one, because as much as it is like that, they still need us. They still need you to put that 110 10% extra effort to make sure that you push projects over the line and you get things done. And that's very, very important. So I think that's a very good question from Claire William, and it's a very difficult thing to um, you know to adjust to. But also, I feel like the managers should implement strategies to be able to see and cap to say no. How you're working is not healthy, and we should limit it to a certain time so that you can have your work-life balance. Okay, so we have
Yeah.
only a minute left of our show, and in that minute, I would like to thank every single one of you who watched, and all our guests. Thank you very much, Kamu. Thank you, Andrea. We're not done yet,
You.
but I want you in advance for being with us and sharing your insight into what the journey that you've traveled to become a BA, and the experiences you've had, the challenges that make you vulnerable, that make other people see that it's okay to share this. I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
it goes beyond sharing the experience, but it's part of the kindness element that we talked about. That sharing these experiences, makes builds a community, and it shows people that we care. And in the BA community, that is key. So I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you to our listeners. See you next time, everyone.
You.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay connected with us and keep the conversation going. Follow us on social media for the latest updates, news, and more opportunities to connect. Or visit our website at www.theBALab.com to explore more resources, register as a member, and engage with like-minded individuals in our growing community. Thank you for joining us for the Power Connect webinar. We hope you found this session insightful. Until next time, keep powering your connections, and thank you for being part of our community.